Hey, Zach.
Hey, Alex.
And hey, Peter.
Hi, Alex.
I'm not saying hi anymore. That was my one hi. Thank you.
Well, perfect. And welcome, everyone, to the Pokemon Power Podcast.
Power Podcast.
I think that actually went. I think that actually went pretty well. I'm just gonna say right now, I think that'll sound great when we listen back on the podcast. I don't think it'll sound bad at all.
I'll sync it up. Sync it up in post. It'll be great.
Our listeners and our viewers are already aware that we have a guest. You've heard his first name, and I'll tell you his last name and who he is in just a moment. We have two quick things we got to do to start the show off. First, Zach has forced me to come up with a way to ask people to like and subscribe at the beginning of the show. So, of course, it is time for the like and subscribe jingle. Like them, subscribe them, and follow them. Leave a review. You don't yell Pokemon Power Podcast. All right.
If you couldn't understand that, listeners, he was just saying like and subscribe, please.
Yeah.
Because in the middle was mostly laughing. But thank you for that jingle.
If you leave a review, and let me just say this, which I think you can only do through the Apple Podcast app, but if you do that, I'd love to read it. And if it's very mean or very nice, one or the other, I prefer nice. Maybe it'll make it on the show. We'll see. I also would like to hear people just tell us how stupid we are. I don't know.
I'd love to read that, specifically about Alex.
Zach, we must start the show with apology time. We are humans and we err, and we must own up to our errors. First off, we mentioned in the Primate episode that you and I went to pick up Pokemon Black and White with enemy of the podcast, Jordan Taylor. But enemy of the podcast, Jordan Taylor, pointed out that we actually went with Jake Bishop and left him on the college campus, which in hindsight, good decision on our part.
Yeah, it was great to not go with it. And also a addendum to the apology. I probably also wasn't there either. So, but I also chose not to go because I didn't want to be with Jordan. So
one other aside though, Zach, because you've said this, as I mentioned this before, and you're like, I don't remember it. Is it true that you don't remember much of anything from college?
Anything from about 4 years ago. I've forgotten most of it.
Everything kind of blacks out after that.
Blacks out sounds a little bit like I've been constantly an alcoholic.
Like you're an alcoholic.
But that is the part of it that's true is I don't remember anything. So, and
perfect. That
little note learning about us, I can't wait to learn about our guest.
Wait, I have one other quick apology. I know we don't want to draw out apology time. I also said, I believe in the Primate episode, I said Tracy is the character that you play as in Pokemon Snap, but that's not the case. These are real character names from Pokemon. Tracy Sketchit was an artist who traveled alongside Ash in the anime. That's who I was thinking. I was wrong.
Obviously.
Todd Snap is the photographer who stars in the original Pokemon Snap. So I was wrong.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Viewers, listeners, I'm very sorry. Please forgive me.
I knew when you said it made you sound like an idiot, and I wasn't going to say anything about it. But yeah, I'm glad you apologized for that.
Well, I have to ask our guest. We have on the show today Peter from Groovy. Peter, can you pronounce your last name for you? Corsaro, is that correct?
Yeah, you nailed it, actually.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, this entire time I thought his name was Peter Groovy. And now I feel like a fool. I thought that's a pretty cool last name.
Well, so first question, do you regret not naming the website after yourself?
I do actually regret the name, but we can talk about that later. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd be interested in that.
Hot take. I know what the title for this video is now.
I regret the name. We've chatted before, Peter, as acquaintances, and I guess that'd be a good thing to clear up. First off, are we acquaintances or friends? What would you say?
I would say friends.
Okay.
Because you know, there's a handful of people on the website you recognize, and then
and some newbies. Yeah. Well, let me add you on. I got the list of friends right here. Hold on.
Up to 5.
Donald Trump. Joe Biden, Peter Corsaro. Okay.
Man,
actually, that's
wow.
Sorry, that's the list of 70-year-old confused men who are running for president. I'll take you off that list, put you on the friend list. You run Groovy. That's fair to say. I mean, are there anyone else who's involved at the top, or is it just you?
No, I'm the only one who does any coding or anything. Yeah, I mean, we got users that help out with the site quite a bit, but I'm the only one that actually builds anything.
And I would say, and I'm not kidding, because I'm sure a lot of our viewers and a lot of our listeners are unfamiliar with Groovy. And I just want to say this without any irony. We do a lot of doofy, I was going to say, which I think is even a better description than goofy. We do a lot of dumb jokes on this show. But I wanted to just say, Groovy, if you're unfamiliar, is the best video game website online today. I'm very happy to have Peter on. I prefer having Peter Corsaro on than Pierre Schneider, okay, of IGN.
Wow.
Wow.
Let me just say that.
A lot of hot takes here today.
I will say, Pierre Schneider, come on the show. But for our listeners who are unfamiliar, how would you describe Groovy?
Well, I still say this. I call it the Goodreads for video games.
Oh, sure.
Basically, it's just a place where you can organize your video game collection. There's a big database of games. You can create virtual shelves to categorize your games however you want to. And it's kind of just grown into a community more than anything. I mean,
yeah.
I'd like to say we're the nicest video game community out there, but
I agree, and this is the thing I wanted to ask you
It's
about.
not like that's a really high bar right now.
no, that's kind of the thing.
But it's saying a lot.
It is, and I would say not only is it, when we say it's not accomplishing a lot, if we say it's the kindest, it is a just shockingly kind, nice place. Was that something that was built into Groovy, or is that just something that kind of happened naturally?
I guess it happened naturally. It was just, the group of people that started coming in.
Yeah.
And I just got really lucky with, the core group of users that started the thing. And then I don't know if anybody ever comes in as mean, we pretty much kick them out right away.
Yes, I do find that.
You nicely ask them to get out of here.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that is there anything else that you think has helped maintain that kindness other than that is a community that people are very quickly I want to say excommunicated or something, but you do see people who come on for like a day, just write hateful stuff, and then they're gone, thanks to you. But how anything outside of that do you think has maintained that kindness, has kept that going? Just the people, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because I mean, there's, like I said, the handful of core users that are there. I mean, if anybody's mean and I miss it and I'm gone for a day or two, I mean, everybody jumps on somebody that comes in and says anything hateful. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I really can't attribute to anything else, because I certainly I have built there's no moderation tools I've built into it at all, hardly, and it's kind of amazing how it's.
Now, do you think the recent game Last of Us 2 really tested how nice people would be?
Yes.
Was that a breaking point? I mean, I'm thinking of really hot takes here, as to all of them. But as far as people being nice, that seems like the worst possible game to be entered into the game sphere.
It was definitely, it was definitely the worst game in recent memory. Anyways, it just brought out, I don't know, people just wanted to say something about that game, and most of it was bad. And like it definitely brought out all the haters of, well, I don't know. I mean, LGBTQ people. I mean, it brought that into the fold, and it was just, I don't even remember anymore. It was just like we did yell at a lot of people. Yeah. There
was a night. I don't like to talk about my work on this show because I like to maintain the presence of an idiot. But I work a lot. And I was working one night and I had some free time. I was on Groovy in my spare time, and I saw someone posting very vile stuff about Last of Us 2. And I was like, it's late at night. Peter's probably asleep. That's the only way this stuff is staying up. So I just thought to myself, I'm just going to review a bunch of games. I just reviewed a ton of stuff. And one of them ended up being like it's one of my most liked reviews on Groovy. I reviewed the old game Kid Icarus, and people reply to me still today about that. And I'm like, it's funny that this has become popular because I only did this to bury some haters.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I appreciate that.
Of course. And I have one last question. Zach has some questions, but I wanted to ask, do you know Jason Schreier?
No, I don't. Though it's funny. So Groovy actually started, I would just blogged about video games. It was just a WordPress blog. And I I did submit some writing to this website called I think it was called Pixels or Death. It's no longer up anymore.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Jason Schreier wrote something for that website. Like, I remember him before he actually got any kind of gig at a real website.
Sure.
So I do have the tiniest connection in that sense, right? I wrote for some obscure non-existent blog.
This whole show is a guise. Essentially, it's just a trick to get me to be able to talk to Jason Schreier. So
that's fair.
I'm just working my way there. But thank you.
I mean, that seems really close. At one point, you wrote on an obscure website that he possibly, we're pretty sure, wrote on. I mean, that practically makes it related.
This is definitely movement towards our goal.
I was about to say, I actually probably know a couple of people on Twitter that sort of know him. So from that time period. So,
let's have him on the show.
Yeah.
Zach, you had some questions as well. I thought they maybe went into it.
Here's what I was thinking. I'm actually a fairly would it be new member on Groovy, something like that. We have a group chat, and we were all going through all the different games we've played, and so I made my whatever all the shelves are called and things. So I started my library, and but thinking through memories of games, I think that's one of the most enjoyable things about this site is you can kind of remember through great games and think about your experience. I want you to tell us, and this is gonna go deep, so I mean, just get ready.
Okay.
But this is the Pokepowpod. So what's the either only, maybe earliest memory of Pokemon for you? And what's the emotion that you feel when you think about that memory?
Oh, man. So this is a very good question. So the earliest memory of Pokemon for me is actually due to my brother. Him in high school, him and his friend Brandon loved Pokemon. I didn't know anything about Pokemon. Okay. And they loved the show, and they have a band that they created that they would play songs in the middle of the night, maybe not so lucid, I guess you should say. And it was the band's name was Cram, Cathedral Runners in Music, and they wrote a song basically where they covered they did an a cappella Pokemon cover or whatever. And so of the TV show's theme song, and it's pretty hysterical. That's actually my earliest
what a
memory of anything Pokemon related, I guess. And
wonderful.
I guess humor would be the deep emotion. I don't know if that's an emotion really, but
Peter,
no.
If that's on YouTube, send me a link and we'll include it in the description. So if our viewers want to, okay, if that's on YouTube, send it. We'll put it in the link and people can watch that. Hopefully we have that. I assume we will. Just go look in the description. We'll have that there.
Gotta have it.
We'll figure it out.
That's great. And now, personally, you don't have to reveal on a scale of 1 to 10 or something, but how do the Pokemon games fare in your experience?
So maybe this is why at one point I was telling Alex, it's I don't know if I'm the right for this. They've never been. I've tried a few of them. I've never. I've played Black and X, I believe, were the two I've attempted, and I've never made it more than a handful of hours through them. So. Hey. They should be my bag. I don't know. I love JRPGs.
You're a fan of the Persona series. You just if the Pokemon went to school, would you like it more?
Oh, that's a good question. If you could date them, that would be.
You have to be a Pokemon too. We're staunchly against Pokemon dating people.
Yeah, we are against that. Yeah, we are against that. But I am for forced marriages of Pokemon, where I drop them off at a daycare.
And then Pokemon daycare, sure.
That's essentially what that is. I don't know. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Enough. Those are my Pokemon-related questions. Just get an idea. So you are a Pokemon hater. I just want that to be clear for our listeners. But we'll just go by that.
Well, okay. You know what? Now we got all the sorts of. We got me as the Poke Freak, Zach is the Poke Amateur, and Peter, you're the Poke Hater. But Peter, despite that, you agreed to take part in our next segment. Gotta elucidate them all. This is the segment where we bring up a picture of today's Pokemon on the screen, and Peter today is going to do his best to describe the Pokemon that we're talking about today. And do you think you could name, if you saw pictures of the all original 151, do you think you'd be able to even name them all, Peter?
Oh, no.
Name even one.
Name one.
Oh yeah, I could definitely name a few.
Okay.
Definitely the starter Pokemon. I could probably name those.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bring today's Pokemon up on the screen. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and you can talk as, say whatever you want about it. The only rules are you can't name the Pokemon and no swears.
Okay.
Let me bring rules I live by every day of my life
about this.
You're fine. Don't need to be nervous. I'm going to bring it up, and I'll start the timer, and you can just, as soon as you see the Pokemon, just start talking about it.
Okay.
Try and describe it for the listeners at home who don't know what we're talking about. And there it is.
Okay. This is a snake-looking Pokemon. It looks like a cobra of some type. He has a forked tongue. Oh, he has 2 little hearts inside of his little cobra wings.
10 seconds.
Let's see here. I don't know how to describe it a whole lot better. I guess he has like a little shark head almost or something. No, that's not right. No, he has like a dinosaur head almost looking thing.
Perfect. You got your 30 seconds in. I think you did a pretty good job describing him. Zach said that he thinks that he can name it or can describe it in 4 words and the listener will know. Give me your 4 words, Zach.
Man, I remember that I told you I was going to do that, and I totally forgot till you just said that now.
This is like name that tune. Name that Pokemon.
Mean purple big snake.
That's pretty good. I think if you say mean purple big snake, people know what you're talking about. And when we ask, who's that Pokemon? We're talking about Arbok.
Arbok.
There's a picture my daughter drew of Arbok for the show.
Oh,
He's
man.
a happy Arbok. Unlike most Arboks, they're all angry. And I have this as my.
Got me. I never realized that there was little hearts. You see that now. Now I can't unsee these little upside down hearts.
Yeah. So if you, for the listener, essentially, and this is one of the things that I had thought about talking about, the Arbok essentially has a face on its chest. And the Pokedex talks about it a lot, that it's essentially a face that's meant to scare its opponents, to frighten them, so then the Arbok can strike. Which I before we kind of get too much into Arbok, our different segments on the show, any specific thoughts on Arbok, Zach or Peter? Anything you want to say before we kind of go into our distinct segments?
I hate snakes. That's my whole sentence.
Okay.
I'm fine looking at them. My son loves the snake section at the zoo, so I'll walk through. I'm not like afraid of them, but I never want to have them as a pet. And I think that's also when I played this as a kid, I never wanted the snakes because it's like, I don't want to hang out with a snake. I just don't want to hang out with them.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I don't know about the face being scary. Like I said, he just looks. It's kind of like a sweet scary. I guess.
I agree.
Like a jack-o'-lantern. It's kind of like I would just be maybe distracted by it and be like, oh, it's a face, and then that snake kills me.
Like it's like if I had a tattoo on my chest, and it was like. It was just a man going, ugh. Like I don't know how to describe that for the listeners. I guess a not scary man.
Can you put up a picture of Shia Labeouf with his full chest tattoo that he just got for his movie?
Did he really get a full? This show is not about Shia LaBeouf's chest tattoo, but please tell me more.
Supposedly, it's a real tattoo because he's playing this like gangster in the movie that came out during quarantine.
I did hear about
this. And he's called like Creeper, and so it's tattooed on his chest is Creeper, and it's like kind of that like Mexican painting like Mother Jesus, the kind of thing or whatever.
Oh yeah,
but like the
Mother Jesus,
like a mother, like it's like a Saint Mary kind of thing or whatever. Okay. But then like she's holding the guy, and the guy has clown makeup on, and that's tattooed like his entire chest, supposedly real.
Right.
Anyway, that's what I think of Arbok. That's what he has. Just kind of like a weird. Like I'm distracted by it, but I'm not scared.
Shia LaBeouf.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know if I want to have a pet Shia LaBeouf. I don't know.
Okay, well, Shia LaBeouf, a very intense actor, method actor, and I think that may be similar to Arbok because Arbok is a very intense Pokemon. In fact, I would like to say, this is our 11th Pokemon we've covered on the show. I think Zach, I think Peter, I think this is the first Pokemon that's willing to kill you. And I would like to present my evidence.
Okay.
The Pokedex
for the children's game. For the children's game, this is one of the pets that you get that will murder you. Okay.
I think so. And I'm going to present my evidence, which is entirely the Pokedex here. But I'll go through a couple different entries from the different games here, and I think I have a very presentable argument. I guess every argument's presentable.
I think you mean it's
strong
persuasive.
was the word I was looking for.
Or
yes, persuasive. That is the word I was looking for. In silver, Arbok is described, this is the Pokedex entry in silver, with a very vengeful nature. It won't give up the chase no matter how far once it targets its prey. Now, Zach, I know you know this. That sounds very similar to Primeape to me. Primeape will never stop following you once you make eye contact with it. So, I mean, that's not out of the ordinary for Pokemon. You know, whatever. Chase you until, you know, no matter how far.
Yeah.
That's just normal Pokemon vengeance. Stadium. If it encounters, this is the Pokedex entry in Pokemon Stadium. If it encounters an enemy, it raises its head, intimidating the opponent with the frightening pattern on its body.
Yeah.
Now, once again, we don't think that pattern's too frightening.
No.
We think it's, you know, Shia Labeouf. We think that's even Stevens' pattern right there.
I mean, that looks like a Pokemon that could star in the movie Holes.
Yeah.
Zach and I have a private chat about whether or not there's a boat in any movie, and we're trying to decide how many movies have boats in them or not. Was there a boat in the movie Holes?
For sure.
What, does he go onto the camp on a boat?
No. There's like a boat. Does it have to be on? Yeah. Because I feel like they take a boat out to where the beach, like before in like the olden time or something. There's got to be a boat, like because the guy Dule Hill, that's like the black guy. I think he's in a boat at some point, or is it just wagons?
I've learned to never vote against boat, so I'm guessing there's a boat. Viewers, if you go watch Holes, please comment whether there's a boat in that movie or not.
Yeah,
listeners too, I want everyone's comments. Okay, frightening pattern on its body. We don't think it's frightening, so still, I would say we haven't decided. Nothing's saying it's going to murder you yet. Gold. This is the description from Gold. Transfixing prey with the face-like pattern on its belly, it binds and poisons the frightened victim. Now,
just victim.
Victim, just victim, not
Pokemon.
What would you? I guess a murder victim is someone who's been murdered, but yeah, just victim. So it could be a person. It doesn't have to necessarily be a Pokemon, but I would say you got to have a little bit of when you watch a movie, it's called a suspension of disbelief here. You know, when you read poison on Wikipedia, it tells you poison is something that leads to death is like the first description of poison. But I mean, look, we've all played RPGs. When you get poisoned, I mean, you just keep losing health until you faint. And we have to give Pokemon that same credence, that same understanding that we give any other RPG. So
you get poisoned until you move yourself from the active party, and then you're fine for a while.
Until you go into the main character's backpack.
Yeah, been playing Final Fantasy X, and being poisoned is the most annoying thing right now for me.
Oh, sure.
I hate it.
Oh man, that's my favorite Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah? Can we change the podcast right now and just talk about
Zach,
Final Fantasy X? I'm deep in it right now.
You're Final Fantasy 7, right, Zach? You like that one best?
7 is my nostalgic top, but my replay top is probably 10. I'm currently playing on the Switch. It's great. Just hold it in my hand.
I like Final Fantasy 12. I know that that's an unpopular choice, but I love it.
One. It's like practically like the one with guns. What, 8? That?
Not anything to do with Pokemon. I'm going to move on because I can't think.
Like the gun swords? That was my least favorite one. What one was that one?
Gunblade, I believe, is an 8. Ruby Sapphire, this is on our back. This Pokemon is terrifically strong in order to constrict things with its body. It can even flatten steel oil drums. Once Arbok wraps its body around its foe, escaping its crunching embrace is impossible.
Well, yeah, because if it can crush a steel drum, what's living from that? It can crush a steel
drum, and then it says that anything that's in its embrace, anything that it binds, it's a crunching embrace. And look, I know that some Pokemon have scales, some Pokemon have hard skin, but crunching, that's talking about bones.
Yeah, it's just killing everything, just turn them into goop. It's awful.
Now, look, just because you get crunched doesn't mean you die. I guess that's like what a doctor might tell someone that got run over by a car.
You've been really seriously crunched, but you're not dead.
What doesn't crunch you makes you stronger? I don't know.
It's on t-shirts.
That's the. But I would say getting crunched, maybe your bones are broken, but you're still alive. This show, by the way, just the darkest show available for children. But the final one. Here's my final note in this argument. Ultra Moon. After stunning its opponent with the pattern on its stomach, it quickly wraps them up in its body and waits for them to stop moving.
Wait a second. Wait, so he stuns them with the pattern on his stomach?
The pattern, apparently, I read other Pokedex entries, it does two things to Pokemon. It either makes them go, ah, and they run away, or they're just so paralyzed in fear, they don't move, and then it just slithers around them, and it says it binds them. It has a crunching embrace, and then in Ultra Moon, it says it waits for them to stop moving.
Yeah, that implies for sure death.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that is implying, you know, like at least like if you had Zach, you have a child. Peter, I think you have children as well. Is that correct?
Yes, just one.
Maybe one child. But if you have kids and they're throwing a tantrum or something like that, maybe you hold them and wait for them to stop moving. You're not going to give them a crunching embrace. You're not going to poison them.
No.
Context.
This is when CPS gets called for the Alex. And
I'm not giving my kids crunching embraces.
just until they stop moving.
Go to sleep.
But there's context that embracing someone, waiting for them to stop moving makes sense. But when it's in this apex predator, an Arbok, I don't have it in front of me right now. It's like 11 feet long. Okay, this thing is a killing machine. It scares you. It has a whole entire routine of how to kill someone. And as further evidence, that was our Pokedex entries, but as further evidence, I'd like to do a segment that we've done on the show before called the Trading Card Game Move Game. Peter, this is Zach. I know you know, and for the listeners who don't know, this is a game where we look at the moves that are within the trading card game. The moves in the trading card game are wild. I think most notably, Zach and I saw Cubone has a move called Look for Friends because it's a lonely Pokemon. But yeah, just very weird moves. But Arbok, a lot of his moves in the trading card game, they deliver his murderous intent, I would say. And to prove that point, we're going to play a game in the trading card game move game today, which I call Arbok or Reptile from Mortal Kombat. And I'm going to give you names of Arbok's moves, and I'm also going to give you some from Reptile from Mortal Kombat. I want you to guess which is which. Is this a move that Arbok knows, or is this a move that Reptile from Mortal Kombat, the game that is the reason that we have the rating system today, whose move this is?
The game most certainly not for children and marketed solely really to children. Yeah, this is going to be good because I feel like I'm going to lose bad on this.
On a side note, I just watched the Mortal Kombat movie, the first one, about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. Oh my God. Have you seen how bad Reptile CG is in that movie?
Is that the one? I'm thinking of who is in the Mortal Kombat. I was thinking of like the lady from My Name is Earl, but I think she's in the Dead or Alive movie.
It's the lady from Billy Madison. The
the pretty lady.
Yeah. That's she's Sonya Blade.
Maybe I'm showing my hand too much that I thought she was quite attractive as a child watching that movie.
Oh no. I'm totally with you. I think we're about the same age. So
okay.
Yeah,
man,
come on the show.
I remember that
Sonya
like,
Blade
being
from
on
Mortal
TV all the
Kombat.
time. Oh gosh.
All right, so I'm gonna name some moves here.
Okay.
And just give me your best guess. If you just think you know the answer, you can chime in. I'd like an answer from both of you.
Here's my problem: is I didn't know that there was names for moves in Mortal Kombat.
There are names for moves in Mortal Kombat. You got to look at that the move list. You got to go to the menu and check the options for your different moves. But here we go. Terror Strike. Is that Reptile or is that Arbok?
I'm voting Arbok.
Yeah,
okay.
I think I agree. Arbok.
That is Arbok. That's a point for both of you.
Okay.
Venomous Fang.
That sounds like Reptile.
Oh wow, I was going to say Arbok because it's a Fang. Okay, well we're split. We'll see.
That is a point for Zach.
Okay.
Wow, and you sound
that
so
is
genuinely
Venomous Fang.
surprised that I
Venomous
got it right.
Fang isn't Arbok. You lost so badly to Brandon James Greer that I
That's
don't
true.
know.
My last guess was bad.
Hidden Chomp.
I'm going to say Reptile.
Okay.
Hidden Chomp. I'll go Arbok. Why not?
That's another point for Zach.
Man, I'm terrible at this game.
He's making some space here.
I want to see that move executed because Hidden Chomp. It's like he's sneaking up behind somebody, like grabbing, like just biting him.
Zach, you asked me these questions as if I went and watched every single move to see exactly what they were. I don't know. I just looked up a move list.
Hidden Chump. I don't know. Okay.
All
Here we
right.
go. I'm winning. I feel great.
Acid spit.
I mean, that's definitely reptile.
You feel
I'm
reptile,
going
okay?
Arbok. Arbok.
That is a point for Peter. That
Okay.
is a point for Peter. That is reptile. Yeah,
Okay.
acid. There wasn't a whole lot with acid as far as Arbok was concerned. But along
According
that
to
line,
you.
yeah, who knows? I've shown that my research is flawed. Deadly poison.
Arbok.
Yeah, I think I'm going Arbok.
You both got it, and I would just say I think I've delivered the message that Arbok is a murderer. Well, because you both knew immediately that deadly poison
I'll
is
add a
Arbok's
little
move.
like exclamation point, little sound like it's a clue that everyone needs to listen to. Like doop clue, deadly.
Super crawl.
What?
Super crawl. Is that a trading card game move, or is that a move from Mortal Kombat?
I'm gonna say Mortal Kombat because it doesn't make sense that Arbok is crawling.
Arbok's a snake, so I'm going Arbok with the crawl.
Peter, I'm so sorry. Zach is taking a dominating lead right now. All right. Poison gas.
I'm gonna say the reptile.
Yeah, reptile.
You're both right. That is reptile.
Okay.
Toxic.
Arbok. Britney Spears.
Well, about the only way. Okay, so the only way I can win this, I have to go the opposite, right? So I'm going to go reptile.
I will say this is my one trick question. It is both of them have the move toxic. They all share that with Britney Spears. But I got two more to close this out.
Okay.
Heavy choke.
Heavy chip. Well, that's got to be Arbok. He's a snake.
Okay.
Maybe he
And
crushes.
then to make it fair, I'll pick reptile.
Oh man.
That is a point for Peter.
Okay.
Heavy
I feel
choke
like-
is a move that
I feel
Arbok
like
knows.
I feel like you just gave that to me.
No, I
Heavy
didn't.
choke though. Heavy choke.
I'm calling up.
I can say that'd be like a wrestling move, something like that. You know, like
Calling up
heavy
my
choke.
friend Junichi Masuda. Hey man, you gotta put heavy choke. Take that out.
Heavy choke.
And one final one, strangle.
That's so murderous. I want it to be Arbok.
Yeah, I'll go Arbok.
You are both correct. We've both
Yes.
learned our lesson. The same thing that can definitely show up on a murder report is a move that Arbok can know. Strangle. Let me ask
That's
you
a
this before
card
we.
game, though. We're talking about card game, so
We
I
are-
didn't have
that's
to
trading
read
card
that
game.
as like an 8-year-old when I was like,
Yes.
"Do you want
I
to
use
accept this
strangle.
new move? Strangle."
Let me ask you this: do you guys agree with me? This is as I kept reading this, I kept thinking like this Pokemon is a murderer. Do you agree? Where are you at?
Yes. I mean, I don't really. Yeah. I mean, I don't see any evidence against it. I'll
He
agree.
certainly doesn't seem like a nice guy. I'll tell you that. I'm not hanging out with this guy at parties because he's
You say
definitely.
the same thing about Charles Manson, right? You said he wasn't a nice guy.
I was saying, hey, I wouldn't invite him to parties. You know, I wouldn't have him here. Well, I'm just saying, if anything, Arbok, if he's not murderous, he's like your friend that like is really into wrestling in like middle school, and it's just every time they hang out, they're like really too aggressive, and they're like really like grabbing you really tight. Like, hey, did you want your back cracked? Too late. I just crunched you, and you're like,
Zach is
Want
like,
it.
I believe Zach is like going to gaslight our listeners and viewers. He says that you can't own a big dog. You can't be a fan of wrestling. And then when we did one episode on Slowpoke and we found out that people worshipped him, you had positive things to say about L. Ron Hubbard.
okay. The guy was smart. He made a religion to dodge taxes.
I keep
Come
giving
on.
you opportunities to back off from this stance, and you keep doubling down. Okay, I want one other thing before we head into the Pokeball decision. The name for Arbok, in both the Cantonese and Mandarin versions of Pokemon, what they did is they transliterated Arbok's name, meaning that they basically came up with the characters that sound like Arbok, and they made that its name, plus the character for Gwai at the end. This is to my best research, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce these. So Cantonese is Abak Gwai, and Mandarin is Abagwai. And so I have to ask you guys, clearly there's the transliteration of Arbok in there. Any guess what Gwai means?
Snake. I don't.
Murderer.
Zach, I'm going to give you the point there. It means freak. I like they had the name already, and they're like, we need people to understand that something's wrong here. So they I think it's probably the same person translated both of them is my guess, but added freak in there. And of course, Arbok backwards is Cobra. Okay. It's time for the Pokeball. Did you not know that,
Wow,
Zach?
you're really hiding the lead for me here. Didn't even think about it. Cobra. Wow.
It is time for the Pokeball decision, and this is the time on the show where we make the decision of how do we want to rate this Pokemon. And we're not taking in rarity. We're just taking into consideration how badly we want this Pokemon. You can give it a Pokeball, a Great Ball, an Ultra Ball, even a Master Ball if it's your favorite Pokemon, which I'd be surprised we're going to be sending the police directly to your home if that's the case. But you can choose those. You also can choose to flee, which maybe you'll choose in this case, or throw a rock at it, which Zach has done. He threw a rock at a Slowpoke. But you have
just
those
because they're
options.
so dumb. It's not my fault.
Let's Zach, why don't you go first?
This is a really easy choice for me.
Okay.
I'm running away. I do not want this thing. I don't want to even catch. I don't even want to use a Pokeball to have imagine that it's sitting somewhere in my computer box. I definitely don't want it in my party. I don't want it around the other Pokemon because this dude's a murderer. He's out crunching Pokemon's bones every day.
Yeah.
Not a fan. The case has been made perfectly that this Pokemon is a freak. I think I can say that by translating the Cantonese for you. And so, yeah, I don't want him. I'm running away. If I see this thing, I mean, same thing I do if I see a Cobra in real life. You know what I'm doing? Not hanging out, running away. So,
all right.
Run. Final answer.
Lee. Okay. Peter, what about yourself? Where would you fall?
Well, I think I'm going to try and appease Arbok here. And I mean, at least I'm just debating between whether fine is good enough or give him a Pokeball. And, you know, I mean, I don't want him coming to murder me or my children, basically. So I don't want to tell him that I dislike him by fleeing, I guess. Because he might come and chase and attack my entire family. I don't know.
Wow. So he's saying I'm endangering my family. I don't care about my family right now. So
potentially, I don't know.
Okay,
but,
here we go. Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
But at least with a Pokeball, you know, like he's captured too. I don't know.
I will say you almost talked me out of my decision. I'm going Pokeball.
Yeah. That's where I think that's where I'm ultimately landing is Pokeball. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think, do I want him? Sure. I mean, look, this guy sounds like a powerhouse. You know, any Pokemon, you know, you put any other Pokemon in there. Do I think Pikachu's going to murder his opponents? No way. No. He's going to, you know, get up and shake hands with them and, you know, try and take a picture for the Snapchatters out there.
The only way is, you know, accidentally he didn't know the other Pokemon had like a heart monitor. He did thunder. Turns out
has a pacemaker inside.
But it was on accident. Arbok's doing it on purpose.
Arbok is murderous. So I think just from a straight power standpoint, I do want Arbok, but do I want him greatly? No, and I think if you do want him greatly, you know, making the decision of above a Pokeball, you know, I understand to appease him, but if you want him, call a doctor. I think.
Here's the thing. I think we have three people here that none of us are like snake fans. We've
none
never
of us are
been
murderers.
Snake.
Right.
So, I mean,
I know that
fans.
about Zach. Peter, are you a murderer?
No.
Okay, good.
My FBI agent? No, I'm not. So I would say that maybe if I was a real snake person, like I was a big fan of snakes, I would think he's cool. I would think that he's cool. So for our listeners and watchers that love snakes, I don't understand it myself, but I have had friends that like snakes and lizards and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what kind of pet? You can't hang out with it. It's just like wrapping around your arm. I don't know. But anyway, I could understand that, but I'm still running away for sure.
If you like snakes, there's a lot of snake here. This one's like 11 feet long, so lots of snake to love.
Lots of snake.
It is the time for the power ranking. It's what we've named our show after. We've been creating a list for the last 10 weeks of all the Pokemon that we've talked about. Within here, we're going to decide how powerful is our Pokemon today. How powerful is Arbok? Where should they fit on the list? I'm not going to go through the whole list, but where do you guys think? Peter, if you had to place Arbok on this list, where would you place him?
Just based on, so just pure power.
Pure power. It's the power ranking. Is how powerful.
I mean, he's at least above Pikachu, I would think. I mean, I don't know.
Well, so number one, I mean, we didn't talk about it. Arbok is definitely one of those Pokemon that eats other Pokemon. And I know people don't like to think about it, but Pikachu's a mouse. Arbok is a cobra.
Yeah.
Arbok eats Pikachu.
Well,
It's painful. It's painful for me to admit that last week when we measured the Pokeball for Pikachu, each one of us, Alex and I mean, we were teetering on Master Ball because we think Pikachu's so great.
We're not haters.
But I think above Pikachu is the fair bet. I mean,
I would even go. I think Snorlax is sleeping through an attack from an Arbok. He's too big to be wrapped by the Arbok, so I think Snorlax has the upper hand there. I think the big question is Primeape, the angry Pokemon. I don't think that's the pig monkey Pokemon is its category, but a quite angry Pokemon. I think I'm going Arbok above Primeape. Primeape's willing to fight you. He's willing to beat you down.
Yeah.
Arbok's willing to kill you.
I mean, all that Primate's doing is punching, It's just
Does
punching
anyone have an
him.
argument against that? Peter says no.
No, I'm just shaking my head. I'm thinking, snakes can eat things that are hundreds of times their body weight or something ridiculous like that.
If you have a video of a snake eating of a monkey, please send it.
It's
Post it in the
out there.
comments.
I don't want that at all. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about an 11-foot snake, and he's got that big. I mean, yeah, he's taking out the pig monkey. He's
agree.
getting him.
I think so.
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2 on the list is going to be our good friend. We call him friend because we're afraid of him. Arbok. So fantastic. That is a new addition to the Pokemon Power Ranking. Arbok very high on the list, and I doubt he's going to get too far down. I think he might stay in the top 10 during the initial 151 here. Zach says we're going to do 200 episodes, so I'm very excited about that.
Here we go.
Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate you greatly for making some time for us. I did want to ask in closing, because you had mentioned it earlier, you said you regretted the name Groovy.
It was actually, if you were going to ask me if I had any closing thoughts, it was just going to be, I'd like Peter to explain that statement.
Yes. So the name itself isn't so terrible. However, the spelling of it, which we haven't mentioned, is GROUVEE.com. So it's that I regret gratefully. I mean, it's just, I don't know why. I woke up in the middle of the night one time. I was like, Groovy, that's a great name. I gotta go buy the domain. So I ran over and bought it, and it's just stuck. But I hate it to this day still. I mean, I don't know. Trying to explain to somebody, why did you name it Groovy and why did you spell it that way? I don't know. It sounds cool, I guess.
It just came to you.
Well, a very understandable concern since you've come on the POKEPOWPOD, a show name that I think will probably not change to Pokemon Power Podcast. I think it will probably stay Pokepowpod on every place that you can search it.
Makes no sense.
But at least those are short for real words.
Sure.
I mean,
that's true. What is Groovy? I mean, other than like the word from the 70s, Groovy. What was it when you woke up in the night and you were like, "This is it"? I mean, was there any connection?
No, that's
nothing.
It was just like, this sounds cool. I think that's a good spelling. And like, I mean, a domain's $10. I could have just gone with something else later.
You're fine, man. I think it's good. You know what? If I woke up in the middle of the night and I just had like on my brain, I was just like Snarfgarf, and I just like couldn't get it on my head, like I'd buy that domain too. And then later people could, I love the name Groovy. I'm not insulting the name Groovy.
Well, I like how you related it to the
Snarfgarf.
word Snarfgarf.
I know. I don't know why I started comparing it to Snarfgarf. Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show. As always, the Pokemon Power Podcast would like to thank Bulbapedia.bulbagarden.net, Cerebi.org, and Dr. Lava YT. And I know I have a little written thing at the end here. I just want to say directly into the camera, Pokemon is fascinating. There's so much stuff about Arbok this week that I had to cut. And if you just go on bulbapedia.bulbagarden.net and look up Arbok, you'll see so much interesting, weird stuff about him, this murderous snake. So I'd highly encourage you to do that if you're interested in learning more about Pokemon. And if you'd like to ask us a question about next week's Pokemon, submit a game, just keep up with the podcast. You can find us on most social media networks, most of those platforms at Pokepowpod, or send us an email at pokepowpod@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'd ask that you like and subscribe, as that helps our channel grow. If you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe via your podcasting app. Leave us a review if you can. And once again, that's just very helpful for our podcast. And we'd like to say to you, Peter, I think you would agree with this sentiment, that if you, our listener, our viewer, you were a Pokemon, we would choose you. Have a great day.
Every time. See you later. Bye.
Thank you very much.